Welcome to our Perfect Pairing series. We will walk you through the perfect way to host a dinner party with friends with 3 of our wines. We will have a charcuterie pairing, a salad pairing, and a main course pairing to ensure that you have the best party possible with our wines, of course. Stay tuned for the next one. Cheers. So this is our charcuterie platter. So when you are making a charcuterie platter, a good rule of thumb, you need 4 main components: salty, sweet, savory, and acidic. So real quick, I'll just walk you through where we have that on our platter right now. So you can get salt from cheese. We have 4 different cheeses here. We have a yellow cheddar, a white cheddar, which is very salty and savory, and then we have a white softer cheese and pepper jack. So that covers salt. For savory, we have our meats. We've got 2 different meats, and I'll go into the differences in the meats in a second. Salty, sweet, or savory, so then we go move to sweet. We have our sweet component. We've got our chocolate pieces right here. And then for acidic, I have olives. So acid normally comes from citrus fruit. So think lemons, limes, even oranges. But olives have that really briny character to them. So they can constitute as acidic. Because if you've ever eaten an olive, I'm sure you get that mouth-watering effect. And that's mainly what comes from acid. And we'll talk about how all that pairs with wine. And then another final component that is not necessary, but it will elevate your charcuterie platters, is if you have a fresh component. So on this plate right here, we've got strawberries as our fruit. And then for decoration, we have a few lettuce pieces. So the fresh component can be as simple as a sprig of mint or thyme or rosemary, something for decoration and greenery, because color goes a long way. Okay, so now we're gonna talk about how all that pairs with the wine. So when you have your salty component, salt is wine's best friend. If you are just really struggling to figure out what to pair with your wine, anything that has salt in it is going to elevate the flavor of the wine. So like I said earlier, for salt, we have this, our English white cheddar. And then of course the meat has salt in it as well, and then the olives. So all of these things, if you take a bite of the food, chew it, swallow it, you're gonna notice a significant difference in the wine. So let's try it really quickly. Let's try it with the cheese. So salty white cheddar with our sparkling. So this decreases the acid in the wine, or like that kind of sharp flavor that you might get on the sides of your tongue. Right now, I'm feeling the wine really sit on the top of my tongue. So it brought out more of the fruit, the red fruit, the strawberry, the raspberry in the wine. And that is right now blending with the cheese really beautifully. So I'm getting that kind of salty, astringent feel from the cheese and the fruit from the wine, and the way they coincide. It's delicious. I'm taking another sip. It was really good. Okay, so that basically covers salty. Now let's move to savory. So as I said, for our savory, we have meat. We've got 2 meats. A good rule of thumb when you're making a charcuterie board is to have a fatty meat and a lean meat. At least. You can have as many meats as you want, but you want to at least have 1 fatty and 1 lean. So for our fatty, we have salami. For our lean, we have lean ham. So lean can be chicken, turkey, whatever. If you go to the deli, get it shaved. That's normally where we get ours. We get ours in the deli and have them hand shave it for us. But then for the meaty, or for the fatty, we've got salami, mortadella, anything like that that's gonna have that fatty component. So that both of these are going to totally change the flavor of the wine. So if you try the fatty meat first, the oils in the meat are gonna just coat your palate. So depending on how sharp the meat is, it can either kind of the wine will give like a salt and pepper effect where it just kind of elevates the meat more, or if the meat is just really, really fatty, sometimes it can just overtake the wine. You won't taste the wine at all. Whereas typically with a lean meat, whether that's a lean ham or a chicken or a turkey sliced, the two will usually mesh together pretty well. So again, depending on the type of meat, since we've got a ham here, ham has a more red flavor, I guess is the best way to kind of talk about that. And then of course we have a lot of red fruit flavors in the wine, so the two are gonna blend together pretty nicely. So let's see. That's a fresh organic ham. Yeah. Neither one canceled out the other. They both really coincided well. So after I took a sip of the wine, I still tasted the meat, I still tasted the wine. I got a little more citrus in the wine than I did previously with the cheese. Now I already know we'll try a live bite with the salami. I already know how it's gonna play out, but we'll try this. Actually, that surprised me a little bit. So this is a slightly leaner organic salami that we got. It isn't our normal salami. And I like this better than the normal salami we get. So the thing that I've noticed with just really fatty salamis is you have to have a wine that stands up to it. Something like this Bud Break or even our Vermentino, any of the white wines that we have, they tend to go to the background. The meat just kind of takes over. But with this leaner salami and this lighter wine, they actually pair really nicely. So there is a bit of oil, obviously, that kind of coats your palate. But what that does is it decreases some of the acidity in the wine. So you're just getting, it almost just tastes like really soft, ripe berries, red berries. So that's kind of cool. I was surprised. Hey, there you go. You never know what you find with food and wine pairings. All right, so moving on. We've done salty, we've done savory. Let's move to acidic. I'm gonna save sweet for last. So I'm gonna use, as I said, our olives for our acidic. Olives are wine's best friend. Okay, so classic rule of thumb when it comes to acid in wine. If the food is more acidic, it will kill the acid in the wine, which isn't always a bad thing. So case in point with this, olives are a perfect food because they are salty and acidic. So both of those things usually do really, really well with wines, especially with a wine that is a little bit higher in acid. So I'll explain what just happened in my mouth right now. The acid in the olives cut the acid in the wine. So the wine tasted really soft. Normally with the wine, I'll get a bit of like fresh lemon juice, like fresh squeezed lemon juice. After the olive, it's more of a lemon flavor. I don't get the acidity that's in the lemon, but it's just kind of that like sweet Meyer lemon that comes out, which is really fun. So I'm still getting some good citrus component and some good fruit, but the acid is totally chilled out. I do still feel the olives on the sides of my tongue, so my mouth is watering a little bit, but it's a water that makes me want to take another sip, so that's what I'm gonna do. Okay, so we've covered salty, savory, acidic. Now we're gonna go to sweet. Rule of thumb when it comes to pairing desserts or sweets with wine. You always want your wine sweeter than your dessert. Okay, let that sink in. Now, I know for a fact that this wine is not gonna be sweeter than this chocolate, but this chocolate's delicious. So if you wanna eat chocolate, just eat chocolate, it's fine, don't worry about it. But we also have these, if you've been to the vineyard and you've ordered a charcuterie board, you know how fantastic these praline pecans are. Oh my goodness, they're so good. So this is a pecan that is coated in praline. It's super delicious. We all eat it. Everyone eats it. I don't think that I've ever made a board and then gotten one back without the pralines. Like, they're delicious. So but I've never actually paired one with the bud break, so we're gonna try that just for fun. So good. Okay. Ooh. That actually paired way better than I expected. Wow. Okay, this works. So normally, whenever you pair, if you have a dessert like chocolate or something that's sweeter than the wine, you're gonna get, the wine's gonna be a little more acidic. This though, this pairing, I think because nuts are also a good addition to charcuterie boards and wine pairings in general, because they have that, you know, that nutty flavor. And a little bit of salt as well that adds to it. But with this praline in particular, I think it has just the right amount of sweetness that accents the wine. So the finish for me is still the praline, but on the back of my palate, like where my big taste buds are, I'm getting more red fruit. So it's like the front of my tongue is kind of this sweet honeyed praline thing, but then the back of my tongue, as I'm breaking it down, is strawberry and fresh red fruit. And then there's a little bit of citrus that I'm getting along the sides of my tongue. This is really fun. I'm gonna eat these more often. These are good. That's a great pairing. Yeah, that works. Oh, that's really good. It's almost like, okay, it tastes like a praline dipped strawberry. Like if you were to dip strawberry in praline, in like a sugar praline coating, it's exactly what it tastes like. This might be a new Valentine's pairing. This is delicious. Okay. Wow, that's really good. Moving on. I don't know that I can top that at this point. But so for our final perfect charcuterie board, we have the fresh component. So we're gonna use strawberries. I am not going to pair the lettuce with the wine. I mean, you can if you want. If you have like mint or something, you can. Actually, one thing you can do, okay, side note, if you choose to decorate your board with greenery, like rosemary, mint, thyme, whatever, a really fun thing you can do to pair that with the wine is to sniff. So let's pretend this is a rosemary sprig. You sniff the sprig and then take a sip of the wine. That's a really fun experience. Try that if you have it. Okay, I'm gonna move to the strawberry though. I think that the fresh fruit is gonna go pretty well with the wine, just because this has strawberry in it. So let's see. Yeah, that works. I feel like I'm getting a zero balance in the pairing. It's pretty much the same. Now I will say this strawberry is slightly underripe. It's not exactly strawberry season, but so I'm getting a little bit of that kind of vegetal flavor from the strawberry. I personally like that. I think it adds complexity and difference. Whereas the strawberry aromas, flavors in the wine are more of a fresh, juicy, ripe strawberry. So that kind of adds good balance. So anyway, to wrap it up, this is our charcuterie pairing with our bud break. I highly, highly recommend if you are doing a dinner party or you're hosting friends over, this is a perfect first course because bubbles, everyone loves bubbles. Bubbles are the perfect thing to start off with. I don't know of anyone who could drink bubbles and not be happy because they're just great. So I highly recommend always starting your meals with bubbles and then maybe ending it with bubbles too, because why not? But if you're gonna do a charcuterie board, remember the main things: salty, sweet, savory, acidic, fresh. And then with meats, you want a fatty meat and a lean meat. For cheeses, it's good to have 2 or 3 different cheeses, a salty, a soft, and a creamy. So yeah, that's our charcuterie platter.